Nobody does better than the original Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon is just so perfect from beginning note to end.
Today, we have a very fit man. He's been in the game a very long time.
Carl Daikeler has been doing big things in the space that we call wellness now for decades.
I realized in my mid-30s that I was not ever going to be a person that would join a gym and go regularly. I'm a goal-oriented person and impatient. I needed something that I could go from day one to day done. You're gonna need to be able to manage obstacles. The desire to be a victim is like a snake in the room, and it wants to bite you whenever you give it a little opening. What scares me a little bit is the fascination how technology is gonna save everything. And I just don't believe it. Gravity's free. Conscious eating is free. What I think the fitness industry is starting to get really right is
the big silence. It's time to sing.
Do you like Frank Sinatra?
I like some of his songs. Fly Me to the Moon, it's a classic.
That was my wedding dance song with my husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My dad sang it on his guitar. Yep.
That is a perfect song. Like the orchestration of that song is so freaking good.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like one night I listened to that song and I tried to listen to other people doing versions of that song. Nobody does better than the original Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon is just so perfect from beginning note to end. Like it's so good. You got to listen to it and just be like, wait a minute, let me look at this. Let me listen to this with the context of it's a perfect song because it's a perfect song.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why it was my wedding song.
Makes sense.
Are we rolling on everything? We are rolling. Okay. We can keep that in too because I like some Frank Sinatra talk. Carl Daikeler.
Yes, Karena.
Welcome to the Big Sentence Podcast.
Thank you so much. Should I be quiet?
This is where we talk about things that we haven't talked about, not only mental health, but self-development, empowerment. Obviously, everyone knows Beachbody, now BODi. Mm-hmm. And you are, in 1998, I feel like you are the front runner of fitness and wellness. Like, how would you explain yourself in an elevator pitch?
Well, first off, and this is not some sort of weird false humility, I don't know that everybody knows Beachbody or BODi. I definitely know that things like P90X or Turbo Jam or Hip Hop Abs or Insanity or 21 Day Fix or Morning Meltdown 100. The underlying programs beget this crazy fascination and fandom that always shocks me. Like I'll be on calls with billionaires and they'll be like, oh, 6 Weeks of the Work is my favorite program. I'm like, wow. So, my elevator pitch for it is a self-interest story that I realized in my mid-30s that I was not ever going to be a person that would join a gym and go regularly or pick up a running habit and just fall in love with it and find consistency. I'm a goal-oriented person and impatient. So I needed something that I could go from day one to day done, whether it's 21 days, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 90 days, and so on. So that has been the premise of what we create and innovate for 26 years now. Started as Beachbody, changed the name to BODi to expand the appeal and reduce the likelihood that people would just associate it with an sort of an ideal outcome. Mm-hmm. It's not just about abs and thighs and buns, but it's about the overall well-being that you might achieve when you're consistent for 90 days. And that, I think, is our hallmark and what is distinct in the marketplace, where generally fitness, and maybe I'd be interested in your opinion about my little elevator pitch from a tone it up perspective, is that in general, I think there's an assumption that people the light goes on, I need to work out, and then they plug in and they're going to do it, whether it's YouTube workouts or joining a gym, and they might get a trainer, but in general, the light switch went off, I'm going to do this now. And my premise is that is not the way that most of us are wired. We need something with a start and a finish, and then we'll figure out the rest of the future after that. But I don't know. What do you think?
It was a long elevator pitch.
I know. Sorry.
You're supposed to have like 2 sentences. But
shoot. Can we start over?
I think that was great. And I think what you're doing is amazing. I actually, before I even respond to that, I want to hear where little Carl came from.
How far back?
Like, where did you grow up? Why did you have this vision aside from what you just said in your quote unquote elevator pitch? Like, but why the drive? Where did it come from? Was there something that made you so motivated to build this brand? And then I have a word for you, relentless. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I would say it's a collection of things. I don't think I'm necessarily a person that had a vision, wasn't created that way. It was really stacking expertise, which led me to this amalgam of collected skills and experiences that somehow just sort of led me to this on-ramp of, oh, you can create content that is a highly efficient form of delivering fitness instruction and nutrition instruction that will reliably and predictably get people results. And, but that little Carl started with a fascination of electronics and recording and performance. My family owned a little theater outside of Philadelphia called the Bucks County Playhouse, and it was summer stock sort of thing. So I grew up doing lights and stage manager and stuff like that. Never really wanted to perform, and got lucky. My high school, this is in the late 70s, my high school had a color TV studio. It was like the only one in the state of Pennsylvania. And because of my background at the theater, I basically ran this little color studio. And then, so it just was sort of iterations on, I had this set of skills and just applied it, and opportunities would show up. And then they sort of steered me toward observations that said, create a company that delivers predictable outcomes with fitness instruction.
And fun fact, have you won 3 Tony Awards?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll go back to fitness and everything body, but can you explain that? I love that fact.
It's funny. If it's basically getting an award for writing the right checks to the right people. That's about the extent of it. But again, because my family had this musical theater background.
Okay, now that makes sense. Yeah.
And then when the company was successful, my dad, who was retiring, he's in the Philadelphia area, I had this opportunity to work with these producers, very, very smart, analytical Broadway producers. I like businesses that have framework that is somewhat predictable, not a sort of a, throw a dart at a board. And so I like the way they approached it. And I said to my dad, would you be my proxy while you're in retirement to these musical theater projects? So like the first one we did was Kinky Boots. And he loved it. And he would go to readings, and he saw the show 100 times. And it was just this fun little hobby. And it turned out, you underwrite enough shows, and eventually a few of them were going to win awards.
Kinky Boots is the only Broadway show that I've seen in real life.
Come on.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I was like, how have I not been to more Broadway shows?
How is that even possible? You don't get to New York much?
My husband's from New York.
Wow.
And I know.
So you've never seen Hamilton?
No.
Insane. You've never seen Once on Broadway?
Oh my God, I love the movie Once.
Yeah, the Broadway show is life-changing.
Yeah.
Dear Evan Hansen. What?
No. Okay.
That's so exciting for you.
Yeah.
This is like, somebody who's like, you've seen a movie, it was like the best movie, I wish I'd never seen it, so I could see it again. You have these opportunities for experience.
Okay. Des, next time we're in New York, Once. Let's go. Like, I love that soundtrack. It's incredible.
Moulin Rouge, which I wouldn't call the deepest piece of art, but that's a show that I'm involved in. So let me know and I'll arrange for it, and you guys can go see it. It's a super fun one. Like sometimes Boy George did it and it was super fun. Yeah. But it's like they call it a jukebox musical. Mm-hmm. But Dear Evan Hansen, you will weep, but it's outrageous. Now that was when Ben Platt was in it. I haven't seen since the original, but anyway. back to our regular scheduled program.
I know we talked a few months ago on the phone, and I was talking about pre-tone it up. I was in some of your Beachbody infomercials.
Yeah.
And I don't remember all of the programming, but also my history with Beachbody, Charlene Johnson, that was Turbo Jam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that. Hurt my ankle. I was like punching away and backed out a back door. But I survived. But like all of your programs are so good. And so with you creating this business and all of these programs, but yet not being the face of it, was that intentional?
Yeah. Again, I always like being the customer.
Yeah.
So it all started when I had met Tony Horton. And this was when I was like, I just give me something for 12 weeks. And we came up with a little outline around a circuit training thing that I had done in high school, and he helped refine it. And then he took off and he actually did a movie. And when he came back, I was in shape. He's like, "What'd you do?" And I said, "I just did what you told me." And that was basically the birth of a thing called Power 90. And then when we did the infomercial for Power 90, my whole premise was, let me prove that this thing works to the audience, not try to demonstrate that I'm some fitness expert, because I'm not, and I'm not motivated, and I don't like doing it. So I'm going to prove that even for people who hate it as much as me, you can still get results. And so that was the Power 90 model, that was the P90X model, and multiples thereafter.
Did you go to business school?
Not in so much. I had business classes. I went to Ithaca College in upstate New York, and that was for a thing called corporate organizational media.
Okay.
Which to your point of where was little Carl, I think you said, like that was a freak accident, because I took that, like I'd gotten turned down. I'd gotten rejected by Ithaca, but I really wanted to go there. And, but I was like, why did I get rejected? I have this incredible background that is like perfect to be in a communication school. And in fact, I didn't want to do just radio, TV, and film. Like I wanted to have access to all of the School of Communications, and that this one major, which was corporate organizational media, that was at the birth of when corporations started to use media. So you got to access to all the schools. So I drove up and I said to Palmer Dyer, who was the dean of that school at the time, and I was like, I really want to go to this school. And I showed him a videotape, and I told him that I was going to do more with this degree than any other student. And anyway, we had a nice conversation. I went to lunch and I came back and they accepted me. And the point that was probably meaningful is the essence of that major was how to use media to get a specific outcome from the viewer. Like literally, the whole point was viewer objectives. That was this whole major. And so it led me to this career in getting people an outcome with media that we produced. What a crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, you were doing infomercials back then. Are infomercials even around anymore?
Not
I mean,
really.
there's like QVC still a little in here, but that's different.
It still exists, but with cord cutting, the concept of infomercial doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah, and you also were in network marketing, which is a huge thing, and then Shakeology. And again, at the forefront of all of that, like how did that come up in your brain?
Again, just iterations, evolution. So the infomercial was doing really well and super predictable. Like it was just this flywheel that would compound another program, another infomercial. And so we started to see that, like P90X was the best example, that in 2008 and 9, when, there was the housing collapse and the world was just going to hell, and P90X just took off 2007, 2008, 2009. And the infomercial was so big and the thing was such in the zeitgeist that we were like, oh, there's more demand than we can ever reach with an infomercial. So we put it in a box and we tested it at like Target. Nobody cared. It needed to have a person saying, I love this thing so much. Yeah. Because just on a box, it doesn't come to life. So we're like, well, what business model helps foster that kind of discussion? Multi-level marketing does. Now, the premise that we went into was not really the same as normal multi-level marketing, and that is where you've got this group of super powerful people at the top who are both creating transactions and generating new sellers. What I wanted was hundreds of thousands of little sellers, just getting your neighbors and saying, oh my gosh, this worked for me. Like, we've all had a conversation with somebody at a party where they'll be like, I lost 50 pounds doing Atkins or whatever. And you're like, I got to try Atkins. So we wanted that dynamic, which really it was that. So we built this multi-level marketing thing, and it was that dynamic for about the first 12 to 15 years. But then it slowly started to become that thing where the rich were getting super rich and people who were coming in were not. And it it was held back by its model. So we needed to deconstruct that. But that was, so we just got there. I'm sorry for the long answers to your questions.
No, I love them. I'm learning so much.
That's really where it came from, was like, turning the customer word of mouth. And here's the premise. We still have an affiliate program because I think it's really important in the fitness and nutrition business that somebody who does this really hard thing of lifestyle change, and I'm saying really hard, and I'm speaking to you, a person who meditates and you're careful with what you eat. Doesn't mean you're perfect about it, but you wake up and you want the endorphins of working out and stuff like that. I can't identify with you at all on this level. I just don't get it that way. I am in a constant state of seeking motivation. And I think the majority of people, there's 150 million adults in the US, probably can relate more to me.
I mean, seeking motivation. I also have to seek motivation. I wake up in the morning now. I used to wake up and be like, can't wait to go work out, but I have to now seek motivation in myself or community or such. So I wouldn't say I definitely don't wake up and I'm like, let's go hit that workout.
All right. So I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but that's the premise. Is you. So the people who identify with you or identify with me or anybody, and they're like, how are you doing it? The very first thing that comes out of your mouth, the way you did it, is creating demand. So when you do that, the company doesn't deserve all the money from that. You deserve it because you solved your lifestyle problem and you had the consistency or discipline to find the consistency. And so that's my premise with what was the network and now an affiliate program, that this person who loses 50 pounds with lifestyle change, and then you can't shut them up. They deserve to be rewarded when they're helping the company grow. That's I think, a very powerful thing for, frankly, turning around the obesity trend when lifestyle change is so hard. But to possibly monetize your consistency, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Speaking of obesity, what's your opinion on GLP-1s? And in the fitness industry?
Yeah. Well, the evolution of them obviously is really important to understand how they can help, particularly people who are diabetic, navigate that. But like all pharmaceuticals, when they are looked at in a complete silo without any perspective of the repercussions or consequences, if you don't treat the whole human at the same time, is really dangerous.
I agree.
So I'm all in favor. Somebody can afford it, and and they struggle with their appetite or they need some leverage, go for it. But please, resistance training, proper nutrition, get your macros. Like, you have to be even more vigilant to make sure you're getting the appropriate protein, carbs, fiber, macros, and all that. And I think people go into it thinking, I'm just going to do this. And that's when the destruction happens. And it's unfortunate that the industry isn't more vigilant about that.
Right. It's like going back to like the 80s or 90s, like the secret pill that you could take to
Metabolife, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I can remember when Metabolife was like exploding. And I walked into my co-founder's office, John Congdon, and I said, this is a really big thing, man. We were still a small company. We were probably 66 million or so, maybe 70 and a year. And he said, man, if we pursue that, because you can source these things and you put your own supplement together. He said, we pursue that, we've given up on the premise. Like, we had this mission, help people achieve their goals and lead healthy, fulfilling lives. And so that was like an important sort of intersection for us. And we just said, no, let's keep going straight. And again, I don't want to vilify even those. Like we always called it supplement assisted exercise, supplement assisted lifestyle. So it's okay to take a pre-workout, to supplement with protein or a superfood shake. But if you're not doing the whole lifestyle, you're only getting one piece of the puzzle. And a one piece of a puzzle is an ugly puzzle.
Yeah, I agree. And also the nutrition and the fitness, and for me, the meditation and the getting in nature, all of the things. What is your daily? Like, how do you take care of you before? I mean, and then I'm going to ask a question about changes that you've had to make over 27 years for you to stay mentally well.
I might have to get back to you on that last part, but because the presumption is that I am mentally well. I don't know. But so, I would say the morning routine has been a very important evolving focus of mine. Once I realized that if I'm going to leave these behaviors to some sort of random figure it out during the day, it's not going to happen. So I replaced my breakfast. Like I used to do this oatmeal or whatever, yogurt thing, parfait type of thing for breakfast. Then I would have a health shake. Then I would have my lunch. Then I'd have dinner, maybe a tiny little healthy type of dessert. And I was like, I'm trying to eat so much early. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a quasi-intermittent fast where I'm just going to have my Shakeology with a banana in it and like tons of spinach, like big bowl of baby spinach in that shake. And so that's my breakfast now at about 10 a.m. So I basically cut off a whole meal. And once I did that, like I lost weight really fast.
What time do you wake up?
6.
Okay.
Depends, like today, because I was coming here 5, so I could get things in. So okay, let's go to the routine. So what does that evolve to? I won't bore you with how it got here, but okay. Try to wake up between 5 and 6. And usually that happens automatically. I don't have to set an alarm. 16 ounces of lemon water, fresh squeezed lemon in there.
Warm water, room temperature?
Room
cold?
temperature.
Yep.
And unless I've got a little tummy ache or something, then I'll have them warm. But then tablespoon of ginger, then 4 tablespoons of kefir, tablespoon of olive oil, cold plunge 3.5 minutes with 4 head dunks.
What temperature?
46.
Okay.
And
It's the same as my cold plunge.
What's that?
Same temperature as I use.
Is it?
Yeah.
I heard for women it doesn't need to be that
That's
cold.
Cold. I know. I just have been reading that women should actually have it a little bit warmer.
50 to 53.
Yeah.
I heard. Anyway.
I might adjust.
And then what I found, which is interesting, and I don't know if this is good or not, but for me, it really helps because I get so cold in the cold plunge. Then I immediately go do my workout because I am like fired up. Now I also had a pre-workout Energize. We sell this Beachbody Performance Energize, which like snaps me up. And then I'll do whatever workout I had planned. I sort of plan my workout. I schedule my workouts for 2 weeks, whatever program I'm following, and get that done in a half hour, 45 minutes. And then generally, then I'll have my Shakeology after that. And that's my routine. So the rest of the day sort of takes care of itself. I do have a weekend meal prep thing I'll go through to make sure that my lunches are all handled because I don't like vegetables. So I have to hide them in food. So I create like 5 or 6 meals that are in the fridge.
Do you do all the prep yourself?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Wasn't sure if you like had people or...
No. I did that for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was in it.
Yeah.
And it was really expensive. And then I realized that you can go to the grocery store, you can get the stuff as sort of half pre-cooked, you slice up the vegetables, and it sort of feels good. Like, it's like DIY making my food.
I love cooking because it's meditative. You're like focused on chopping something, baking something, getting your seasonings.
Yeah.
I love preparing food. And so with your routine, do you ever break it?
All the time.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do? You break it? How long do you break it for? And how do you get back?
Well, first off, I really love that routine because it
Mm.
gives me incredible freedom with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I don't, like in general, I don't overeat because that doesn't make me comfortable. I don't over drink,
Mhm.
but I'm not crazy. Like I'll be like, try to keep alcohol to once or twice a week.
Mhm.
Unless I'm in some phase of things, I'm trying to cut or something, and then I'll cut it out altogether. But that routine just serves me. So it's not like, oh, I got to stay on my routine now because I've got a habit. But if I go off, let's say, holidays or like I don't get sick really ever, but when I have, then it's just, I'm like ready to get back on it. And that first cold plunge is the worst and it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm just back on it. Now I will say another thing that I've found recently, we've got millions of customers that are part of the BODi ecosystem. So I've got this little community of about 3,000 that I text with. But I'll pick one or two and say, okay, for the next month, we're going to help each other. And so like there's a woman right now who's doing the Belvital hormone health program for women. And I said, okay, we'll be support buddies. And we just text each other a few times a day. And that, like, she'll pump me up when I'm not into it. She's like, come on now, you said you were going to do it. And I'll pump her up when she's not into it. And I think that little buddy system really helps a lot.
So your number one tip for someone who's like, I'm way off track, is it find a buddy for support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, finding that accountability partner. But I would say the first step for me is choosing a program with a definitive day one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll find the person. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this 8-week thing. So we're coming up on June. We're launching this program called 25-Minute Speed Train. So I like to have a summer project. So for June and July, a little bit into August, I know I'm going to work out 7 days a week, 25 minutes a day. One of the days will be sort of a recovery day. And I'll be doing it with 100 or so people.
That's amazing. I want to go back to how you didn't answer your mental health wellness question, but we'll dive into that. Maybe the question is, over all of these years, almost 3 decades of owning your own company, and I believe you have partners as well now, how you have changed personally and what you have learned about yourself and how to take care of yourself in all of the transitions of business. I mean, I founded Tone It Up in 2009, so you're a decade ahead of me. And there's been so many transitions and ups and downs and the highs and the lows, but how have you managed that? And again, your superpower, I believe, is relentless. How you keep going.
Yeah, that's a good question. If there was one little gift that was dropped in my personal skill set, it's this ability to focus on a thing that I want to achieve, and regardless of how it might change shape, I cannot quit. Like they'll have to pry it out of my hands if I think I can still achieve something. So that relentless or that persistence has served me really well. And particularly, I would say right now is about as hard as it's gotten.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like at the beginning, first off, I want to say to any entrepreneurs who listen to your thing, it's not easy for anybody. Like, and that's one of the things that I do for my own peace of mind is I study case studies of other companies, read books, biographies, autobiographies, watch documentaries about the formation of other companies or athletes to just identify with the fact that, to achieve anything or get anything that's excellence or that can be recurring is going to require walking through fire. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need to be able to manage obstacles. So, but that is a constant processing and being very careful to watch for a victim mentality. Like Krishnamurti had this thing where the ego is like a snake in the room, I think he said. But I would take it a little further. I would say the desire to be a victim is like a snake in the room, and it wants to bite you whenever you give it a little opening that poor me, it's hard. And then you're going to just start to rationalize cutting corners or complaining and whatever, and it just doesn't serve you. And then fear will come swept in. So like, you just got to be vigilant about managing your mindset and really focusing on two things. One is, what is my objective that I am serving? Even if it's just one person. Like when I do my workout, I post it on Instagram. Why would I do that? Literally, my thinking is, I'm going to do this workout and I might influence one person to make that step for themselves. And so that mission. And then the other, when can feel anxiety coming up, is I need to displace the anxiety with room for creation or creativity. Now that's for me, but like if even today, I woke up, tons of stress, lots of emails, things I had to do, but I was super excited by the fact of the expansion that I would get to achieve by sitting down with you. This is just a bit of expansion for me, for the company, for the message, for getting to know you.
Yeah.
And that feeds me. So those are my two things.
I love that. And I'm honored that you're excited to get to know me.
Yeah, I sat in traffic for an hour and a half.
You're like, get in the car. No one bother me. No emails.
Yeah.
So let's talk about BODi.
Yeah.
And you had to make that, or you chose to make that transition from Beachbody to BODi. And how difficult has that transition been to keep brand recognition?
You know, it'll be interesting to see what the ultimate outcome of that is. I think that ultimately it is a very healthy thing. And I'm very proud as just a human being, and particularly a father, of changing the name from Beachbody to BODi.
Is that an acronym for something? Or
BODi?
Yeah.
BODi stood for Beachbody On Demand Interactive. Okay. So it was like this handy little acronym, and we had the URL. So how amazing to have a 4-letter URL.
Yeah.
But you have the very gratifying connotation of the word Beachbody. And that was a difficult thing to walk away from. Certainly board members, investors were like, you're doing what? And so it didn't make sense to a lot of people, still doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Search traffic still looks for Beachbody. But my conscience with kids who I want them to grow up with a healthy body image and not, particularly in a social media, wake up and compare yourself to everybody's life world. I don't want, am I a Beachbody, to be a question that's in their mind. And in fact, you know, we say love your body, BODi, double entendre for love this platform, but also in the process of using this platform or whatever you do to take care of yourself, love your body. That's the message that when my kids are looking over my shoulder at the work that I'm doing, I want them to go, that's what dad does. Not, hey, look, dad's helping America get a nice ass, and show them before and afters of abs. That still can be a part of it. I'm not judging that, but I want the overall message to be one of well-being, high self-esteem, which we coined the phrase health esteem, to be something about accept yourself and love yourself enough to take care of yourself, regardless of what outfits that turns into.
Yeah, I love that. And we talked about that on the phone a few months back, and how with even Tone It Up, it was the bikini series or this and that just puts so much pressure. And how you have to make those shifts. I actually have gone through the phase of changing the name, but then I was too scared. But you had the confidence to do it. But there was an acronym and a name very similar that I had come up with, but I just didn't execute it.
Yeah, look, if it comes down to what sort of value are you delivering to people, concepts and brand names come and go. I think, particularly in today's crowded messaging environment, and the most important message is, what is this going to do for me? And so I wanted the message, particularly in a world of GLP-1s and heart disease and obesity and diabetes, for the message to transcend your abs and how lifted your ass is. So BODi felt better.
Yeah. Feels like a more holistic approach to everything.
Well, it captures both the vanity of it and the wellness metrics that we all aspire to. And look, I want people to come in, they're going to come in for vanity metrics at 24 years old. But when they get to be 61 like me, they're not going to care that much. And like, what motivates me is I want to be mobile and agile and strong in my 80s. I got to fight for that now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to fight for it then. So for me, it's not about what's my transformation like. It's about, am I staying agile? Can I move? Are my hips flexible enough? Do I have the range of motion so that I can catch myself if I trip? All these things. Crazy to think about, but that's not Beachbody anymore.
Yeah. Do you find that your community and your demographic is growing with you, or are you bringing in newer people?
Well, I remember I said this is the hardest time, because once you lose the infomercial and the predictability, even though it was declining fast, there was some predictability to the network. Once you change all that, it disrupts your sales channels. So we are finding really incredibly powerful lanes of customer acquisition. It's a bit of a phoenix rising up out of the embers right now. So we have about 1 million people who I would say are along for the transition, and we're adding a few thousand or more every day, and trying to expand our library of content so that we are serving people at wherever they are in life. Like, we just added a thing called Walk Week, which is for people who don't necessarily get outside to walk, or they don't want to walk on a treadmill, but it's sort of like a Leslie Sansone type of walking thing.
Is that walk from home? Is that
that kind of walk at home. Yeah.
I didn't hear about that until recently, and I was like, dang, she's been crushing it for a long time.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think the number one thing that the fitness industry needs to improve right now?
Gosh. Well, I think in the notes that I got, it said, what do you think the fitness industry is getting wrong? Okay. So I'm more prepared for that question.
All right, answer that.
Because I don't know. If I knew that, I would do it. So I think we're doing it. But I think what scares me a little bit, or what I think the fascination is, how technology is going to save everything. And I just don't believe it. Like, gravity's free, and conscious eating is free. And I don't need to plug everything into an app and close rings and have wearables with questionable EMF radiation that are undermining the ultimate well-being that I'm trying so hard to achieve. I know I got a good workout when my shirt is soaked or my muscles are tired.
Yeah.
And I think technology can be very helpful, but it's like this fascination and gold rush of, oh my God, that thing's connected.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I just think it's sending the wrong signal to people that, okay, you know what? That's when I'm going to do it, now that it's connected. And I think it just raised the price and increased the complexity of something that's actually very simple. And so what we are seeing, though, what I think the fitness industry is starting to get really right, is the power of community, but both offline and online, for people to feel plugged into something so that you don't feel so alone in the process, unless you're paying them $50 an hour to train you. So I think that the overall industry, and this has been something that Beachbody, now BODi, has enjoyed since its message boards in the early 2000s, and now we're even launching a community in a couple weeks called the BODi Experience, to give people daily challenges and make it so that you're fitness choices or your activity choices and your nutrition choices are not a thing you need to remember. It's actually a part of your day because it's a fun part of your day. So that's where I think it's going.
Yeah. I mean, for you and Beachbody and then for Tone It Up, obviously are community based, but I feel like everyone's coming back to community and it's a slow roll after 2020.
Yeah.
And everybody really wants it. And I don't do wearables because, speaking about anxiety, I used to get anxiety about my wearable telling me that I was anxious. And like, I know.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I was like throwing this away
Mhm.
because it would make me more anxious. So now I just focus on, like you said, am I sweating?
Yeah.
How do I feel? Like, like you can be aware and monitor your body. And I have less anxiety not wearing a wearable.
Well,
for me personally.
When do we delegate understanding our appetite and our energy level or our need to sleep to a machine and sort of short circuit our own internal ability to know ourselves?
Yeah.
So like if you pay attention, like, so for instance, if I'm high anxiety, we talked about cold plunge, right?
Mhm.
If I'm in a period, a couple days of high anxiety, I don't get in the cold plunge because
Mhm.
I don't need more. I don't need to turn that up so much. And I can start to compound it. So I'll back off for 2 or 3 days because I'm having a little bit of self-consciousness.
Mhm.
I think people could use a little more of that.
Yeah. See, I love going in a cold plunge when I have anxiety because I meditate in there and it distracts my brain. Or as Desiree knows, my anxiety walks. I'm like, get outside and move. That's such an important thing. Just get out and move and be in nature.
That's part of a recent discovery, probably 6-7 months for me, like a walk after dinner. Wow, what a game changer that is. Not a long one, like 20 minutes maybe, and both clears your mind, reminds you that there's a whole world and nature and oxygen and trees out there. And it doesn't all have to be on a screen.
Yeah.
And helps your digestion. And then like you own your life a little bit. That 20-minute walk, that's taking your life back.
Yeah. And getting present.
Yeah.
And listening to the sounds around you, feeling the air. It's beautiful.
I like it.
Well, Carl, thank you for being here.
I hope I said the right things.
You said the perfect things.
Okay.
Anything else? Last thoughts to share?
I do want to say, because I've listened to your podcast, and I think what you do is phenomenal. What the trauma that you've overcome personally is outrageous, and I can't imagine it. And I'm always so impressed with a human being who could be bitter and angry and just have an axe to grind with the world. When somebody finds it within themselves through whatever inner work you did to overcome that and be a person at peace, constantly working on it, of course, but vigilant, and then about sharing that, I think that's a huge service. So on behalf of all of us listeners, nice job.
Thank you.
Seriously.
I was thinking you were going to talk about yourself some more. Thank you for that.
No, I'm bored of me.
All right. And where can we find Beachbody?
Yeah. BODi.com. That's the spot. People might want to click into they'll see a little thing for the BODi experience. That community is going to be fun. A chance for people to win discounts and whatever. But like, push-up challenge and support and stuff. I'm in there. And then I'm just my name on Instagram, Carl Daikeler, Daikeler.
Thank you very much. And that'll be in the show notes.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for coming to the big silence.
Thanks for having me on.
The big silence. It's time to sing.